What is up? This is the Nook Podcast. My name is Steven. Grab a cup of coffee and, that is the sponsorship that I need to be working out. The Nook Podcast is brought to you by coffee. Rich, delicious coffee. Get your coffee at fine retailers everywhere. I digress. Can you tell that I worked in television just a little too long? And now back to our show. As we ride out these last few weeks of 2021, we continue to look back at some amazing, unexpected moments from previous episodes. And before we jump into today's moment, I just want to remind you that I'm always reachable by email. Feel free to share your thoughts, comments, critiques. And if you know someone who you think might be great as a future guest on the show, drop me a line. The address is steven@nookpodcast.com, and that is always included in the show notes, along with a link to Buy Me a Coffee, which is just a super simple way for you to help support this show financially. For this week's unexpected moment, we're going back to March of this year and a conversation that I had with my friend Trey Van Camp. Trey is a pastor and church planter in my hometown of Phoenix, Arizona. He's also a husband and father of 3 beautiful girls. The unexpected moment in the conversation happened as he shared some tough aspects of what he and his wife dealt with in their second miscarriage in a year's time. That in the middle of all that sadness, Trey and Jordan were able to come through it with a very healthy perspective. But I know that within your family, it's not always been rosy either.
Nope. Right.
Is it 2 miscarriages you guys have had to contend with?
Yeah, in the span of 1 year.
God. And how much time between the 2?
It's like literally exactly 1 year.
Really?
Yeah.
Almost
to the day.
Wow. And I know with the last one, you were so very transparent about it. And for those of these wonderful listeners who don't know Trey or don't follow him yet, I very much appreciate your social media, your online presence. And maybe I've got the advantage of having had an opportunity to sit down and have a meal with you a couple of times, that you're a very genuine person. And I'm not just trying to blow sunshine in your windows because you agreed to do my podcast. I think I've got a pretty good read on people. And I see you as genuine in your videos as I have, sharing a burrito. I miss Phoenix.
Yes.
So for you to have moved forward with telling the story that you did about the last miscarriage, I know that had to be very difficult for you to put together and then to hit publish. But I think it's those really, really tough and rotten situations that's where you're going to touch people. There's somebody else out there who thinks that they're the only one.
Right.
Did you get feedback anywhere near like that when you did choose to share those moments?
I did. Yeah. And it's a really weird balance. So especially like I'm usually more prone to share things when it's just me, if I'm the offended party, but with it being my wife, I was trying to be very, gentle and just saying, hey, like, when do you want to share this, or do you want to share this? It's not something we have to do. But something that I don't know, maybe I'm just dumb, but I don't want to waste my suffering. So I'd rather share it. I said the other day, like success, it has a couple really good lessons, but suffering is just a never ending well.
Yeah.
And so like I never wanted, I hate suffering. I hate pain. I hate loss. What made it even harder this last one. So our first miscarriage, we were pretty excited. We thought, okay, a 4th would complete the family. And to be honest, we're shooting for a boy. So I'm William Trey Lamar Van Camp III. So I thought it'd be really cool to have a 4th. And so name him. He'd go by Liam. It's a whole thing. And so we never knew the gender of our first miscarriage. It was pretty quick. So that's what kind of made it. Doesn't ever make it easier, but never saw the baby in on ultrasound or anything like that, or heard a heartbeat or anything. But this last one, we were very nervous because we had just had a miscarriage before. So we went in and everything seemed like fine and on pace. And so we actually did like the really early gender reveal where you can do the blood test because we were excited. And all the symptoms were dramatically different. So we were just convinced this was a boy. And so it came back and it was a boy, and we're so excited. So actually we had it where Christmas Day, we would tell our family by giving everybody a Christmas present. And in it is an Air Jordan onesie that says Van Camp number 4 on it. And we were super pumped about that. So we still have those. So we were pumped about that. And then we officially found out that we were going to have the miscarriage on my wife's birthday, the 22nd of December. Yeah. So it made it really hard. And we were like, and we didn't have the miscarriage yet, but they're like, there's no baby. We don't see the baby anymore. And so we went in for a second ultrasound just to be like, maybe the ultrasound messed up, and then they were finally like, no, it's, the baby stopped growing. Something happened. Yeah. We're not fully sure here. So we found that out on her birthday. And then Christmas, we were so pumped. We had all these items, to share. And then, so that day we were like, babe, like I told her, like, it's okay for us to be happy. Like if we ever find happy moments today, like it's okay. Like I know we're going through this, but for the sake of our other kids, let's just make the most of it. So it was a really tough day. Not our best Christmas, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. And so then we didn't want to ruin everybody else's Christmas. So we didn't tell them like, we're having a miscarriage, Yeah. But yeah, so then and even since making the video, I think January 1st was terrifying because she went to the hospital because the miscarriage started to happen. She was losing a ton of blood, and she was pretty much, and again, because of all things COVID and everything, she was pretty much ignored at the ER. And so I wasn't allowed in there. Yep. It was 3 hours in there. Nobody saying anything to her. And she's like, I don't feel good. Like, so she called me. She goes, they're not listening. They won't come in. Babe, I don't know if I'm going to make it. And that's when I freaked out.
Oh gosh.
Oh no. She goes, I have lost so much blood. I mean, the panic in her voice. And I was just at the house, couldn't do anything. And I was so mad. And so, I started bargaining with God, like, God, take anything else. Yeah. I don't care what, like, just not her, please. Take my ministry, take any of this stuff. And so finally, I actually we're friends with some nurses there. So I started making phone calls. I'm like, look, I don't know where she's at, but nobody's getting to her. She's been hitting the light. I don't want to go too much, I don't know how much time we have, but it was just terrifying. Long story short, they did nothing for her. They just gave her pain medicine and sent her back home. 2 days later, they rush her in again. And they're like, oh my gosh, you have barely any blood left. We had to pump it in her. And it's like, this could have happened 3 days ago. So, it's really sad. So it's just like this lingering thing. And then the day she got home, all of a sudden I got COVID. So it's just been like, all right, God, we're tired of this. But thankfully, my wife never got it. So I'm like, good. She's been through enough. But yeah, we like to share those stories just because I think the gospel that I believe in, that's in the Bible. I just don't think it's ever been about success after success after success. It's really about humility and humbling yourself and suffering and dying to yourself and losing and having longings in your life that are taken away. But still, throughout the whole process, you're continually reminded, oh, but Jesus is still better than this. Jesus is still better than if this was successful. And so that's just kind of like the theme that I've recognized in my life. And I just want to share that. Like, we've had a few people come up to us personally. We even had a recent couple that flew all the way from Minnesota to hang out with us. I had never met them.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, they watched me on YouTube, and they had a miscarriage in this last year, so they really related to that. We have a couple of church members where their parents are like not believers, but they sent them that video, and they're like, you know what? And so like they're starting to listen to my sermons now. It just kind of like takes away some of those like, oh, pastors are all jerks and you know, they're only here for your money, all those different, reputations that we have of ourselves. So like to me, it's like, all right, God, like I want, 2 Corinthians 1, like why, like in our suffering, we're able to help those who are suffering.
Yeah.
And to me, I think telling our story is just one small way. I don't think it's the whole shebang, but it's one small step towards that direction of saying, hey, we get it.
Right.
Life is hard. I'm never going to preach from the pulpit, believe in Jesus and everything's better. Like, in fact, almost to be in Christ is to be in conflict and to be in crisis, especially this side of heaven.
Yeah. But would you rather walk through that crisis with him or without him?
Right.
And for that matter, just the other thing that hit me right there too was the, laugh with those who laugh and weep with those who weep. That's where those deep, rich relationships come from. That
Amen.
We can have happy birthday parties and things like that, but the real rich depth comes in the hard stuff.
And and pastors are so quick right now. Life is very hard, more than normal for everybody. And we're so quick to try to sell this, like it's got to get better. But I think there's a better message to preach,
Yeah.
Just like, like we're so adamant about progress, but I think we need to make it more about presence. And, you're going to be in the fire, but like what's great about being in the fire is he's with us. But I think the fire still hurts.
Oh yeah.
But he's with us in it. So it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Well, guess what? You still have to walk through it.
Right.
But he's with us. And therefore, that's why the beginning of the Psalm says, I have what I need. The Lord is my shepherd. I have I have what I need. But I'm still going to go through the stuff.
Yeah.
And I just think it's actually a more compelling gospel to include suffering and to not be shy about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think we do live in a strange time, and maybe that's not the right word, but I think that if our faith is to ever have any appeal, it has to be real. Oh, that was a Trey Van Camp right there.
Oh, that one hit. That one hit.
Maybe we should all stop and write that down. I think people can see through the smoke and mirrors. They can see through the gold leaf chairs and the sad trappings that, again, you just mentioned reputations.
And some don't. And they try to run after what they're selling and they give them all the money but they always wind up even more depressed, even more discouraged at the end of it.
Right. But that to me is, again, it's just like, I don't want to play a part in that.
Right.
I want my faith to have legitimacy, that it's not pixie dust and unicorns, that I'm where I am right now because of Jesus and only because of Jesus.
Yeah.
And you want to break bread and let me tell you a little of my story? I'll tell you my story. I love what you said about not wasting the sorrow. And I hope that others of faith can find something in that too, to say, it's like your story matters. Because we've all been through some of that valley that you just talked about.
Yeah.
So I believe that's where God redeems those things, when you share it, when it becomes an encouragement to somebody else.
Exactly.
It may seem odd to even introduce the thought of embracing your suffering, but I believe that it's actually a really healthy perspective. We all deal with very difficult things, and if anyone has ever tried to convince you that faith in Jesus will make your problems go away, I'm sorry, it's just not true. Jesus said in John 16:33, "Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart, because I have overcome the world." God knows that we will deal with very challenging things, but He offers us His peace and His presence so that we can deal with the hard things, and then we are better able to help others when they are in the middle of it. I'm sure that you have dealt with your own set of challenges this year. I hope that you've got some time to reflect on the moments that God walked you through or is still sitting right in the middle of with you. check the links in the show notes for Trey's YouTube channel. He does such a great job of sharing real and relatable things there. And please remember this, you don't need a podcast to have unexpected moments. Just keep your eyes open to seeing them every day. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you here next time in the Nook. The Nook Podcast is a production of Sozo Digital Media.